It's been over a week since the Biden email scandal first erupted. The mainstream media and big tech scrambled to cover it up quite predictably. We now know that their efforts, in a sort of Streisand effect, led to a doubling of the publicity the story actually received. Next, they tried to discredit the story with the tried and tested bogeyman of Russian hackers or 4chan. Yeah, there was that guy. Now the intelligence community has been forced to admit that the story isn't part of a Russian disinformation campaign. Today, we're looking at this and the explosive new development that indicates the laptop allegedly, and yes, you're hearing this right, contains sexually inappropriate images of children. I guess the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. This is Political Election 2020. I'm Ian Smith, and as always, joined by Connor Allen.
Hello, everyone.
And as always, guys, if you do enjoy content, please consider subscribing. Give us a like. It helps us with the algorithm and grow the channel, obviously. And if you're the sort of person that likes to engage in, nice, constructive discourse, then please leave a comment down below because we always reply to every comment. But honestly, the best thing you can do, and always we say this, is share the video, but particularly on this story because it's being suppressed so heavily everywhere. So let's jump straight into it.
Right then, first things first, we have a tweet here from Jake Gibson, who is a producer at Fox News. So he's not a random nobody on the internet. He's been told, senior journalist that he is, by one of his sources. Let's just read the tweet out. One senior federal law enforcement official says, 1. The FBI and DOJ concur with DNA Ratcliffe's assessment that Hunter Biden's laptop and emails in question were not part of a Russian disinformation campaign. Number 2, the FBI does have possession of the Hunter Biden laptop in question. So that's that. It cannot be a hoax. Well, not only did the left try to say, sorry, Ian. Not only did the left try to say that it was, I mean, it's their go-to, isn't it? The Russian disinformation. Then they tried to say that it was somehow fabricated. That's out of the question. So what do you do now, lefties? Checkmate.
Yeah, well, this is it, isn't it? Well, firstly, the second point gives credence to what Giuliani has said, that the laptop did find its way to the FBI early on or late last year. So, gives credence to part of his story. And obviously, you had, was it yesterday? I think it was Adam Schiff. He comes out. He's like, I'm head of, the House Intelligence Committee, so I know about these things. Just as he did with the, Russia hoax. He's come out. He says, I've seen the evidence that there's collusion between Trump and the Russians. And of course, this is when this is before the Mueller report came out. And everyone was like, unsure exactly what evidence did exist. And all you had was just a mainstream media. Apparently, it was okay then, just reporting on, unsourced, unconfirmed bits of tips and tats of information. And you had Adam Schiff going on there all the time. Yeah, I've seen the evidence. It definitely exists. It'll come out any moment now. Of course, it never did come out. He's the first one, isn't he, that the left send out. And they go, it's Russian disinformation. He says, I don't have any evidence to show you, but this is definitely what I think. This is what the intelligence thinks. Well, apparently that argument isn't going to work anymore. Not this time.
But absolutely. They've completely dismissed it. And I'm quite interested as well, because you mentioned the media involvement in all of this. Well, what's their reason for censoring this story now? Because, first of all, they tried to say it was hacked, and it's part of the hacked materials policy. Well, now we know that the FBI has had the laptop for over a year, so it's not a hack and a dump of information, right?
Yeah.
Then, maybe they might have said, okay, no, this is clearly disinformation. It needs to be verified first. But now, intelligence services, you can't argue with them saying it's not part of a Russian disinformation campaign. So why would they keep on censoring it unless they had something to perhaps gain from censoring this story?
Well, this is it, isn't it? And they're absolutely terrified of the prospect of Trump getting 4 more years, especially because of the way that they've been acting. And it's clear for anyone to see now how biased, how partisan they are. And Section 230 that is going to be on the table now for a long, long time. Whether or not the Republicans are going to be able to do it in this election, because they're probably going to need all the branches of government to do so, is unclear. But I don't think this is going to go away now. There's going to always be this sort of unsureness or whatever about the media and the big tech firms. It's like you won't have much confidence that they actually are being unbiased, and because we've seen everything that's happened today over the last week and before then. But this is really the final nail in the coffin with regards to that. And I think they're terrified now of the prospects of Trump becoming president, because I mean it's going to destroy them, isn't it? Surely.
He's the only one who has the balls to stand up to them. If you look, I mean, Jack Dorsey and Mark Zuckerberg, they've been brought in front of is it the Senate they've been brought in front of? They've been demanding questions. It started an antitrust case against Google. Only the Republicans under Donald Trump have had the balls to go after these huge platforms. It didn't happen under Obama and Biden, right?
No, exactly.
So if Trump loses this election, it's going to be tragic, because Jack, Mark, and Joe are going to buddy up together, and there's going to be no oversight, no accountability, and no challenging of these big tech firms for many years to come.
Yeah, absolutely, and they'll allow their monopolies to grow even further, I'm sure. So, yeah, let's move on to what Rudy Giuliani has been saying. Obviously, he's been kind of the primary person that's kind of been leaking all this information and getting it out there, obviously alongside the New York Post. And we are expecting more from the New York Post, potentially. I don't know if it necessarily come from them, but potentially today or tomorrow as well. But here's what Rudy Giuliani was saying yesterday.
And he's discussing his sister-in-law, who for quite some time was his lover. And he says, she told my therapist that I was sexually inappropriate. This would be with a unnamed 14-year-old girl. When she says that I FaceTime naked with the unnamed 14-year-old girl, and the reason I can't have her out to see me is because I'll walk around naked smoking crack, talking tom girls on FaceTime. When she was pressed, she said that the unnamed 14-year-old girl never said anything like that, but the bottom line is that I created and caused a very unsafe environment for the kids. This is supported by numerous pictures of underage girls.
So, Mr. Mayor, that's dynamite stuff, and I've seen it.
I turned it over to the
You turned it over to the Delaware State Police, correct?
Yes, yesterday. Bernie Kerrick and I turned it over to the Delaware State Police because we're very uncomfortable with this. So we're very uncomfortable with the fact that these underage girls were not protected.
So, I mean, honestly, it really blows my mind that this is where the story is led to, and we need to let, I guess, the authorities just kind of deal with this and go through the normal process now, and see what happens and see what they think of the evidence that does exist there. But there's little reason to doubt that Rudy Giuliani is being honest here about what he's saying, because if he's lying about this, I mean, he himself is facing like probably millions and millions in defamation claims, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if Rudy Giuliani is knowingly lying about this, and that's him gone. That's him done. Okay. He really doesn't have any reason to lie here. And as you say, it's very important that the authorities kind of check this out and do their own thing with it. But I think it's also important that the Conservatives have to keep sharing this, because we have to bring pressure onto the authorities to make sure they act, because the FBI's had this laptop for over a year now and they haven't acted. Well, why? I understand the optics of arresting the vice presidential candidate's son might be bad, could be seen as interference, but they haven't acted. That's wrong. Conservatives need to be resharing this. They need to be bringing so much attention on this to spur the authorities to act, I think.
Yeah, and I know Hunter Biden would like to think that being the son of Joe Biden makes him immune to the law, but unfortunately it doesn't. So forget about election interference. If he's done something wrong and it can be proven, or there's enough evidence there to show it, then you need to bring charges to him, regardless. I mean, Joe Biden's niece,
wrong, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, Joe Biden's niece, I think, has just pleaded guilty to fraud. Just because he's running to be president, it doesn't mean that his family, like all cases against his family and his criminal family, have to stop. That's just how it goes. So I don't think it counts as election interference, no. But
absolutely, and you think the image. On what planet is it acceptable to be FaceTiming a 14-year-old allegedly whilst naked with a crack pipe? And just let that sink in. But when you hear it, you just let it sink in, because this is absolute filth. This is disgusting. There's no panning this away. There is no hiding this. And it just raises the question, what does Joe know about this? He's already trying to hide almost every aspect of this story. I think he knows something.
Well, there's 2 points, isn't there? What does Joe know? Because if Joe Biden knows about some of this stuff, I think that in so many ways incriminates him as well for knowing about this and not doing anything about it. What other information is there that he knows about that he's not talking about? The second thing is, what do foreign powers know? What else is there out there? Because Hunter Biden now has got a track record, it would seem, if these allegations are true, of being someone that just can't be trusted and is a huge national security problem, right? Because if foreign governments have information on him, then, I mean, they can blackmail him, they can do all sorts. And same with Joe Biden. So, and just can you imagine
blackmail material?
Yeah,
it's
and
powerful stuff.
So there's just, like you said, there's so many questions that this raises now. We need to just, hopefully more of this information is going to flow out over the coming days, and we're going to find out about it. Hopefully, because Joe Biden, I mean, he's hidden away now for, I think, 3 or 4 days at this point. He's not coming out until tomorrow for the debate. If he does turn up for that, hopefully we're going to see a little bit of scrutiny there. Unfortunately, we're having to rely on, not the press to do it, but we're relying on Donald Trump to actually go and ask these questions himself to Joe Biden tomorrow, which is just absurd. That's the state of the media right now. But can you imagine if this was Don Jr., Donald Trump's son? Can you imagine it? It'd be everywhere, wouldn't it? And people will believe it because they'll be like, Don Jr., what an idiot he is. That's totally something he'd do, leave a laptop. Because it's Hunter Biden's son, it's like, what person would be stupid enough to do that? But if the tables were turned, 100%, they'd be like, this is totally something Don Jr. would do. So the whole thing
be taken as gospel without hesitation, wouldn't it? But just before we kind of wrap up, and sorry for interrupting you there, just before we wrap up, I guess you've seen it too, like in the comment section and certainly on Reddit, there's lots of conservatives saying that, well, nothing's going to happen over this, so why should we even bother? Well, now with these allegations coming out, I think it's now takes on a moral dimension. Is we in this community have to reshare things like this, and we have to make sure that this doesn't escape the public eye, because this isn't just any old, transfer of money thing, which actually happens quite a lot in politics, right? This now takes on, if these allegations about child sexual abuse are true, it's a moralistic principle to keep this story going.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think in the same way we think about sort of Jeffrey Epstein, and there was this huge kind of public pressure I felt, wasn't there, to just kind of like make sure that once it came out that what was going on and that the police had been covering it up or not acting on information for so many years, and you had all of these victims coming out and saying, this happened to me and this happened to me because Jeffrey was such a high profile figure, nothing was done. This is the same situation. It's like you've got such a high profile figure here. There's potentially a lot of victims involved in this scenario. We don't know what else is going on. If it's true, So we need to put pressure on the authorities, and we need to put pressure on the media to make sure that justice is served, really. And on that note, I think it's time to end the video. And of course, as this story develops, we are expecting more things to come out over the next couple of days, just before the debate. We're going to try and analyse them and cover them before the debate. And obviously, we'll be giving our reaction and probably various videos on the debate from tomorrow. So if that's some content that you think that you would enjoy, then please, as always, consider subscribing. And thank you for watching.